Among the migrants drawn to central Mexico from northwestern regions was a people who called themselves the Mexica, often referred to as Aztecs because they dominated the alliance but built the Aztec Empire in the 15th century. The term Aztec derives from Aztlan, the place of 7 legendary caves, which the Mexica remembered as the home of their ancestors. The Mexica arrived in central Mexico about the middle of the 13th century. They had a reputation for making trouble by kidnapping women from nearby communities and seizing land already cultivated by others. On several occasions, their neighbors became tired of their disorderly behavior and forced them to move. For a century, they migrated around central Mexico, jostling and fighting with other peoples, and sometimes surviving only by eating fly eggs and snakes.
The Delhi Sultanate was a period of dynasties in India. It lasted from around 1206 to 1526. Guess what? Well, I'll tell you. It was the only society ever to conquer the Mongols. In addition, they had a very elaborate monetary system.
Pre-colonial Africa possessed perhaps as many as 10,000 different states and was characterized by many different sorts of political organization and rule. These included small family groups of hunter-gatherers, such as the San people of southern Africa, and larger, more structured groups, such as the family clan groupings of the Bantu-speaking people of central and southern Africa, heavily structured clan groups in the Horn of Africa, the large Sahelian kingdoms, and the autonomous city-states and kingdoms, such as those of the Akan, Edo people, Yoruba, and Igbo people in West Africa, and the Swahili coastal trading towns of East Africa.
The English monarchy was founded by the Normans, who were descendants of Vikings who carved out a state on the peninsula of Normandy in France during the 9th century. Though nominally subject to Carolingian and later to Capetian rulers, the Duke of Normandy in fact pursued their own interests with little regard for their lords. Within Normandy, the dukes built a tightly centralized state in which all authority stemmed from the dukes themselves. The dukes also retained title to all land in Normandy, and in an effort to forestall conflicts of interest, they strictly limited the right of their retainers to grant land to others. In 1066, Duke William of Normandy invaded England and then ruled by descendants of the Angles, Saxons, and other Germanic peoples who had migrated there during the 5th and 6th century. Following a speedy military victory, the Duke, now known as William the Conqueror, introduced Norman principles of government and land tenure to England, while retaining many institutions of their Anglo-Saxon predecessors. The Norman kings of England ruled over a much more tightly centralized realm than did the Capetian kings of France.
Byzantium was an empire in Turkey. Its capital was Constantinople, which is modern Istanbul. It is one of the longest-lasting empires ever. And another interesting thing is that the rulers at one point were really fancy and they had bedazzled crowns.
The WHAP thing we decided to link this project to is the development and interaction of cultures. The reason for this decision is because of the immense trade that was happening at this time. The most trade and most prosperous trade was happening in the Indian Ocean between Africa, Asia, and India. Without this interaction, all the societies across Afro-Eurasia would not develop into the societies that they are today. Trade is what really defined the post-classical era and is vital into what the societies would later become.